Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios, and welcome to the first episode of the Book of Biunites. Now let's hop in and see what types of dragons, if they were Biunites. That is kind of terrible for me to say. Let's try that again. And what if types of dragons were Biunites? There you go. That's a lot better. Let's go.
Welcome to the first episode of my new original series, The Book of Biunites. In this series, the main art I'm going to be drawing for episodes is going to be new Biunites. Which, if you don't know what those are, don't worry, they'll get explained in this episode.
So, wait, are we going to get the classic dragon and a drake and a wyvern, or are we going to get the more unknown ones that most people don't ever see, like a landworm?
And in this first episode, I'm going to be designing Biunites based on different types of dragons. All of these creatures also fit into the story that's going to be told, and the tale and lore will be presented through a sort of conversation between two of the main characters. A father-son team, Akaru in a way, and Dai in a way. Both of whom were introduced in another series that this is a spin-off from. One that I did a couple years back called Vigilance. But don't worry, you don't need to have seen that series to understand what's happening here. Though if you want a quick refresher of it, I recently did a bunch of animated recap videos explaining my old series, so I'll link the episode that has the Vigilance recap in it in the description. But anyway, I did check that out. Let's launch into episode 1 of the Book of Biunites.
Here we go. Hit like if you want. Subscribe if you feel like it. By the way, enjoy the show. Ooh, good music.
Okay, if we're gonna tell you everything, then I think we really need to tell you.
Looks like the first dragon we're starting off with appears to be a type of drake. No wings. A regular draconic body and 4 limbs. Does have a lot of fins on it though.
Everything. The first day we interacted with Biomet Kyle was a couple days before the Global Vigilance League Championship. Before? Akaru, you told me you met Kyle with Agama, and Agama was certainly not around in the days leading up to the big competition. No, yeah, I know, Dad. I didn't technically interact with him directly, but you and I both interacted with Pokilani after it had been affected by him.
Oh, yeah?
I understand. We did not realize at the time why the creature was acting strangely, but you are correct. Is that not too far back to go in the tale? I mean, maybe it's not important, but who knows? Any little detail could help. We're in pretty uncharted territory here, so we might as well tell him everything.
That is
information
true.
That might seem like nothing to us could somehow be useful in getting Kyle back. A valid point. My apologies for interrupting. Go on.
A father and son.
So Dad and I were out looking around the Biunite Safari sector. That's the name we gave to the area where people will be toured around when our business officially opens. Which I guess could take a bit longer now. Not necessarily. Officer Fuego is helping us to clear the investigation quickly after the incident.
Fuego.
Our opening next week may still go as planned. I guess. It's hard to even think about that now. Understandable, but perhaps we should veer back on track from this digression?
Yes.
Right, okay, sorry. So Dad and I were a few hours away from heading out to the Global Championship, but we had been told by one of the Malayo people, the natives of our home country of Unitalia, that there had been multiple sightings of different draconic Biunites. Draconic Biunites are some of the most rare and are said in Malayo myths to only stir in a time of great interest, as they call it.
Really
They say that great interest can mean good interesting or bad interesting.
Obvious.
Well, not exactly. Never mind. I will not interrupt again. You can. If I'm forgetting something important, just jump in. No,
please.
This is your story to tell. You know much more of the relevant information given you elected not to inform me of Kyle's presence for over a month, despite the risk he represented to our new business.
Yes,
hey, being
sorry about that.
Doesn't help us tell the story. I was not being passive-aggressive. Well, that was obviously passive-aggressive.
Huh?
Fine.
Oh, that was still the sun, right.
My apologies. Anyway, I said I was sorry already. Kyle told me not to say anything, and he's really convincing. But for real, if you do have something actually helpful to say for the story, then yeah, jump in. We need to cover everything. All right. Noted. The Malayo people believe that, on a higher plane of understanding, from nature's perspective, there is no good or bad. There is merely occurrence that humans interpret as good or bad. A fox eating a rabbit can be perceived as a good thing for someone eager to see the fox sustain itself, or a bad thing for someone hoping to see the rabbit live a full life. Ultimately, the occurrence in nature's eyes is neutral. A time of great interest is essentially
almost sounds like something you would hear in like a Disney movie.
A time of great change.
Well, no, probably not Disney. Probably more like DreamWorks.
Right, good point. But either way, Dad and I were thinking it was a good omen that draconic Biunites were showing up. With us almost ready to launch the safari, it kind of felt like the more revered Biunites were giving us their approval. Plus, since draconic Biunites are rare, sightings of them could be great for bringing in more business in the opening weeks. Perhaps we should explain what the Biunite Safari and Education Center is.
Please do.
I mean, we don't really need to pitch to him. He's not exactly from around here to be an investor or something.
You are the one who said that any details may help.
Yeah, but
he's got you there.
Okay, yeah, that's actually a good point. Wait, he might not even know what a Biunite is, right? Man, I am not off to a good start telling this story.
It is all right, Hawkru. I can take over to get us on steady footing, then hand it back to you. Our interaction with the Asian dragon Biunite, Pokelani, was the most significant occurrence of the day, but it was not the only draconic Biunite we encountered. Prior to elaborating on our encounters, allow me to explain all the context you may require for what a Biunite is, and why we hope our Safari Center can help educate the masses on the true majesty of these creatures.
Yeah. From what my understanding of a Biunite is, it's kind of it's a living organism that's almost in the same vein as a symbiote.
Biunites are creatures,
but instead of it, and having to also feed off the host, it is a separate organism that bonds with and walks with the host. So pretty much like a symbiote that does not need to be with a host. And now we got an actual dragon.
Native only to the island country of Unitalia. These creatures are not like normal animals. We are not even
Asian
certain
dragon,
how they are born,
Eastern
though
dragon.
The Malayo have myths and legends that they claim as true.
Sea dragon.
They state that the great elder dragon Biunite, Kahigona, is the true father of all Biunites, and can manifest new ones into life by imbuing animals, elements, plants, or minerals with its own mighty life force. The Malayo essentially believe that the parents who birth all Biunites are Father Kahigona and Mother Nature. As I clarified about the Malayo not believing in true good or bad, Kahigona is a force for both birth and destruction. As many belief systems have tales of a great flood, the Malayo believe that the earth was once destroyed in a mighty storm, formed by Kahigona's own ferocity. But, from the lives lost in the chaos, he was able to channel the life essence of those fallen into the creation of the first Biunites.
Ooh.
Also, to clarify, while Pokelani is classified as the Asian dragon Biunite, it is native to Unitalia, as all Biunites are. So far as we are aware, Biunites only ever reside naturally on Unitalia, unless taken elsewhere by humans.
And Kahigona is the biggest Biunite too. Most Biunites are like 4 feet tall or less. Kahigona is like 11 feet tall, not counting this huge wingspan he's got in his tail.
So wait, this Biunite that is currently being drawn is big enough to probably incorporate the entirety of the host? Because, like you said, most Biunites are only like 4 feet tall or something, and they can only incorporate like maybe a limb or the legs, things, or that's actually pretty much it. This guy is big enough for the whole enchilada.
Other than paintings made by the Malayo people through history, we only have really blurry photos of Kahigona because it's like super rare for him to ever make an appearance anywhere. The fact that I've seen him now is absolutely
Son, not to cut you off, but if we jump too far ahead, we may not cover all the important details in a cohesive manner.
Right. Oh, so sorry. Yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Biunites, as you have likely ascertained already, are creatures with incredible abilities. In our world, many humans are born with naturally occurring superhuman abilities. These are the abilities most used in competitions such as the world-renowned Global Vigilance League tournaments, though some acquire their abilities through partnerships with Biunites. Biunites are also born with inherent abilities. When a human forms a strong enough bond with a Biunite, the creature can merge forms with their human counterpart and grant them the creature's same abilities. They can generally only alter a fraction of their human partner's physiology at a time, though the amount varies between different Biunites.
Each Biunite is unique. They are not full species, and there are rarely two that are identical.
Ooh.
Their lifespan is often roughly similar to a human lifespan, though some, such as Kahigona, have proven to exist far longer than that. On the day in question, I believe it is fair to say that both Akaru and I were deeply hoping to see Kahigona, but neither of us did. No, I'm still convinced that I saw him shoot through the sky at one point. Akaru is convinced. I most certainly am not. It was a massive streak of red, black, and white firing through the sky. What else could it have been? Is this truly important? You have now definitively seen Kahigona up close, so why does it matter if you saw him on... Wait, I got us off track again, didn't I? I'm sorry. Okay, you're right. It's not important. I mean, I totally did see him, but it's not important.
That is definitely the talk of a kid.
I did, though. If you insist. Anyhow, while we likely should have been heading to the airport, we elected to take a quick tour around the safari grounds to see if we could spot any of the allegedly appearing draconic Biunites. The first we saw was one that is not quite as rare to our world, and has a poor reputation, albeit an unfair one. The Wyvern Biunite spent some time bonded to a rather unpleasant human partner.
Ooh, a Wyvern Biunite. Okay. And it was definitely one that was apparently forced from the way he was talking about the human.
Quick interruption to say that if you enjoy my stories and art, you might want to check out some of my illustrated novels, like Vigilance, the series that this is a spin-off of, or maybe my coloring books, or even the bestiary type books that I'm starting to make now. Though the one that's releasing a couple days after this video comes out is only going to be a limited release, so if you're watching it in the future and it's still out, make sure to snatch it up quick. My Amazon and Blurb online bookstores are linked in the description. Now back into the episode.
And this is the Wyvern in question.
Wyvern, Biunite Dad. Wyvern. The word is wyvern, Akaru, pronounced wyvern. No, it's... I'm taking over. You got us on track, and that's great, but I got it now.
Yeah, that actually is one thing of debate. No one knows, no one can agree on how to pronounce the damn name. Is it Wyvern or Wyvern? Most people agree it's Wyvern, but then you got a few people that are like, it should be pronounced Wyvern, and it's just like, dude, shut up. We're talking about a giant flying lizard that can breathe fire or lightning or ice. It's like, come on, let's just enjoy it.
Leia, the Wyvern Biunite, is a 3-foot-tall, really scrappy and cunning Biunite. It can breathe fire like a lot of other draconic Biunites, but in smaller bursts, and the fumes off its flames are poisonous and can make people really nauseous and dizzy. He can also inject that toxin in liquid form into someone as venom through his tail spike, but getting stabbed with that directly is basically fatal to any human. I'd never seen him in person, but had seen him in news articles and stuff. See, usually the only way to make a bond with a Biunite is to be really in tune with your authentic self and with nature, and that can then attract a Biunite to you that matches your personality or frequency. But for a long time, this company called the Averitt Corporation used to make these things called bond bands that could basically fake the frequency of different Biunites, so someone could attract and bond with one.
In short, it was pretty much a Pokeball.
Even if it wasn't right for them. Around 10 years ago, this Averitt employee, Jensen Mollimore, used his bond band to make a bond with Wymalea, then used Wymalea's powers to murder a bunch of people. His wife eventually found out and turned him in. The Averitt Corporation did an unfortunately superb job keeping it quiet in the press that he was an employee of theirs. I knew of this event at the time and should have seen it as the red flag that it was.
Oh, clearly,
I am embarrassed to say that I was an employee of theirs for quite some time, working in the bond band department before seeing the error of my ways. Yeah, my buddy Augie helped us see that bond bands My buddy Augie helped us see that bond bands were kind of a joke. They're still technically a thing now, but way fewer people actually use them, after a bunch of lawsuits Averitt had to deal with. But that's another story.
You know, quick question, and I wonder if this has happened in universe. Has anyone ever attempted to use 2 bond bands and 2 Biunites at the exact same time?
Anyway, even though Wymalea hadn't actually done anything wrong, it was banned for anyone to use their bond band to make a bond with him after that. People think pretty lowly of him nowadays, but it's not Wymalea's fault. It doesn't really help his case, though, that he does have a bit of an evil look to him. Anyway, Dad and I saw Waimalea flying around and got really excited. We hoped we could see one of the rarer draconic Biunites, but we followed Waimalea for a few minutes, and it seemed like he was moving pretty slow, like he wanted us to follow him. He led us to Lake Maluhia, which connects out to the ocean by the Huakoa River. We made a bunch of agreements with the Malayo people when we were proposing the safari to them, and our plans to use it as a way to teach people about their culture and the inherent connection between humans, Biunites, and nature.
I was getting to that explanation of the Biunite Safari and Education Center in my own presentation of this tale before I was interrupted for properly pronouncing wyvern.
Wyvern. Well, whatever. Now I've done it. It's a Biunite Safari. Anyway, one of the agreements was that nobody on a tour would be allowed to swim in Lake Maluhia. They don't actually have a problem with people swimming in it, but it is considered a sacred body of water that they didn't want to see turned into a beach or something, where people just lounge around without respecting it as the home of a lot of animals and Biunites.
Oh yeah, no, that's completely
flew out over the lake and just started circling. We didn't really know what he was doing, but we could sort of see the surface of the water bubbling below him.
It is also notable to mention that we had brought along with us our own Biunite partners. Akaru's is called Hopalima, the Springing Stone Biunite. Mine is Onatala, the Iron Guardian Biunite. Onatala is nearly the largest known Biunite in terms of mass.
Nice.
Why do you always bring that up? It's not like bonding with a bigger Biunite is harder than a smaller one.
It is simply a point of interest. You interrupted earlier merely to mention how large Kahigona is.
Oh yeah, I guess I did.
Okay, yeah, that's
fair enough. Onatala is pretty big height-wise too, not just mass-wise. And he gives Dad a big spiky head of hair when they bond too, and Dad acts way more cocky when they're merged than he has that hair.
Is that necessary to mention?
It is simply a point of interest.
Haha, very good, son. To get back on track...
Yeah, no, this is totally a father-son duo, and it's lovely.
Springing up from the water came the aforementioned Biunite, the Asian dragon Biunite Pokilani. This creature is usually very peaceful and serene. Even from afar, we could see that it was not in its common state of mind. It rose from the lake, dragging a Biunite much larger than itself out of the water by the tail, and its viciously violent intent was clear, even before it approached us.
Oh damn, what happened? Normally Asian dragons are pretty damn chill and wisdom-filled.
Talking about big Biunites, Lolohanes is the biggest known aquatic Biunite. It's the sea dragon Biunite, and it's about 9 feet long. Pokilani is only a bit longer than 4 feet, but she was whipping around Lolohanes like he was a sardine.
That strength level is not surprising from Pokilani, as most draconic Biunites are quite powerful, but the ferocity was odd. Biunites battling for play in the wild is not uncommon, but Pokilani was showing clear intent to harm. Waimalea endeavored to assist the sea dragon, striking Pokilani with the back of its tail, but that was not enough to make it release Lolohanes.
Yeah, Pokilani just got even more ticked off and used Lolohanes like a floppy baseball bat. She whipped him around and smacked Waimalea, sending him like 100 feet away.
Oh, wow.
That is a bit of an exaggeration, but essentially accurate. Lolohanes then managed to swing its head upward and spit a beam of boiling water at Pokilani. Unfortunately, the Asian dragon Biunite also has command over water. It was only briefly struck before commanding the stream of water to swirl around it and fly right back at the head of its foe.
Thankfully, Waimalea managed to swoop back up around and spit a fireball into Pokilani's face. Its fur got a little singed, but more importantly, it got really dizzy from the poisonous fumes. It lost control of the water, and Lolohanes blasted it in the stomach with an even stronger burst of water, so it finally let go. Lolohanes fell back into the water, and Pokilani started retreating from Waimalea. But she was retreating right in our direction.
As the creature approached, we got a better look at it and saw that its eyes were bloodshot, nearly completely red. It was as if something had turned it rabid.
Yeah, it was going nuts. Good. Our Biunites clearly knew something was up too, because they merged with us without us even asking. Hopalima turned my arms to stone right as Pokilani was flying at my head like it was going to tear my face off. I used my hands to fling myself off the ground and leap right over Pokilani, but it turned and tried coming at me in the air. It was like it just wanted to attack anything or anyone.
Thankfully, Onatala shifted my own arms into steel, and, while agility is not a strong suit of my own Biunite, I was able to leap up and grab Pokilani before she reached Akaru. I ensured to keep my grip only sturdy enough to hold the creature, not to harm it. It instantly lashed its teeth for my face, but I managed to remain calm, telling the creature it was not in danger. Onatala's drive is to protect, as is my own, but that includes protecting this creature from itself. With my other arm converted to steel, I felt safe enough to simply try petting Pokilani's head. It forcefully resisted at first, dragging me across the sand, but I simply kept my voice and movements calm and continued trying to reassure it that there was no threat present.
That would have been funny to see.
It was seriously awesome. Dad was like some kind of monk, but, with, like, punk rock hair.
Thank you.
Super Saiyan 3 hell.
Eventually, Pokilani did begin to calm down enough to no longer strike out. As the red faded from her eyes, I felt comfortable relaxing my grip. Finally, the creature returned to a fully calm state. I opened my hand to free her. The creature closed her eyes and pressed her forehead gently against my own, as though thanking me for my aid. She flew up to Waimalea and did the same thing, though the Wyvern Biunite was clearly hesitant to let the creature close.
Wyvern Biunite.
Pokilani then flew back into the water, presumably to find Lolohanes and repeat the gesture of thanks, or apology.
Lolohanes, that must have been the name of this one. I would be able to track down Heal, but apparently that was a minor issue, so yeah, you got the Asian one, and then the traditional one, and that's it.
But we did not see her again after that.
Which was kind of okay, because we were really running late.
Yes, well, we knew there was investigation to be done into what had caused Pokilani's outburst. We knew we could not stand to miss our flight. My daughter, Akaru's twin sister, Junko, was already waiting for us at the airport.
Oh yeah, she's with the dragon, right?
Somewhat impatiently.
Yeah, and I can't even blame her. Even with all the weirdness with Pokilani, I was stoked to get on that plane. It's not every day your best bud breaks a world record for youngest person to make it into the Global Vigilance League Championship. And like everyone else in the world, I had my fingers crazy tightly crossed that the final match was going to come down to Augie versus the reigning champ. No offense to Ms. Sparks, but
that would be nice.
5 years was long enough for her to hold on to the world title. I really wanted to see Augie take the crown from her.
Let's just hope it's all a fair fight. And that's all it needs to be. Just fair and honest.
Well, I am very happy with how this series is starting out so far, and I like that it's a very different vibe from the other original series that I started recently, Mytholethal Pantheon Reapers, which I'm also really liking how it's turning out. You might want to go check that out too. Or if you do want to go back to the old Vigilance episodes to know about some of these characters when they were a bit younger, that series is an anthology, so you could jump right in at Ogama Knight's episode, where these characters were first introduced. I'll link his episode in the cards. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive, inspiring note. And the thought I want to leave people with today is a nice simple one that I really love, that hopefully resonates with someone out there.
Oh yeah?
You do not need a miracle. You are a miracle. Start acting like it.
Ooh.
That's one of those ones that feels like it just gets you really fired up. I hope it's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Monday. Goodbye.
Alright everyone, that is going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.